This win felt great. The Toronto Raptors played an overall very good game with very few blemishes. And if you're keeping count, the Toronto Raptors are officially undefeated in 2026. What a brilliant year it is. The Toronto Raptors complete a 4-0 sweep of the Atlanta Hawks, which includes beating them two times in the last two games. And tonight, I feel the Toronto Raptors really deserve this victory. The Raptors got unbelievable performances from Colin Murray-Boles, Scotty Barnes, uh, Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett. A little bit in the fourth quarter. First three quarters were rough, but man, he came through in the fourth quarter. Grady Dick, unsung hero off the bench. Jamal Shed. Wouldn't look at it from the box score, but man, Jamal Shed played a great game. The Atlanta Hawks, they got seven guys in double digits tonight, and they had two players that were not present in the previous game. No, not Trey Young, but they did get Luke Kennard and Kristaps Porzingis coming off the bench. And while Kristaps Porzingis was 2 for 12 tonight, I think the Raptors did a great job. He provided something unbelievable defensively, which is rim protection for a team that doesn't have a hell of a lot of rim protection and a lot of defense. And I think that it bothered a lot of the rim finishing of RJ Barrett in the first three quarters, Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram. Kristaps Porzingis is a big difference maker for the Atlanta Hawks. And tonight they had him, granted on a minutes restriction, injury management, etc. But this was a competitive, brilliant win. And I think we have to start this conversation with the Raptors rookie, ninth overall pick, Colin Murray-Boles, who was incredible on both ends, defensively and offensively. I was very worried for a little bit about Colin Murray-Boyle's inability to finish around the rim and sometimes reluctance to even take shots around the rim. And tonight, no issues there. Really just beasted inside the paint. He ends up with 17 points on 8 for 10 shooting, misses his only three, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Listen, man, Jakob Poeltl is out. The Toronto Raptors desperately need a center. Colin Murray-Boyles moves into the starting lineup for Ochai Agbaji, perhaps fueled by Scotty Barnes, loud criticisms of having to play center, and the team immediately looks better. Scotty at center may be, great for the box score. It may be great for his triple doubles. It may be great for his rebounding, but it's not great for the Toronto Raptors to have him being beat up as a center. And quite frankly, CMB is just a little bit better at playing that position than Scotty right now. And in the first half, you would be confused that on a team or on the court with three potential all-stars, which includes Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and Jalen Johnson, Mr. Fake Stats himself, who had 13 points tonight and got thoroughly exposed. Would it be fair to say that Colin Murray-Boyles looked like the best player on the court? He looked great. The Hawks' best player tonight, real best player, was a guy who picked up his fifth foul early in the third quarter, and that was Zach Risachet, last year's first overall pick. And I think that he was just very good defensively and offensively. I don't think that I really loved the game that Nikhil played tonight. And again, it's not like the Raptors didn't have moments. They had a couple of stretches of really bad basketball, and we'll take a look at it. I think the film session is going to be very interesting. But for now, let's look at the box score because it's not a typical game. It's not a typical game. This wasn't that high scoring affair that the last game was where nobody played defense. The Toronto Raptors offense, I think, was about as sharp as it has looked in a while. Their shot complaining. Sorry, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I read this and I'm like, there's shot complaining. Sorry. This is why sometimes I try not to look at the chat when I'm trying to monologue. So their shot making was not excellent tonight. The Raptors, once again, miss a ton of threes, which includes Scotty going 0 for 3, RJ going 2 for 8, Emmanuel quickly going 3 for 7, Sandra going 1 for 4, Jacoby going 0 for 4. Like the Raptors shot 32% from 3. They also happened to miss a ton of free throws. They shoot 63% from the line. And no, Jakob Poeltl did not come back and miss a whole bunch of free throws. You're just missing free throws. And some of your better free throw shooters are missing free throws. RJ Barrett goes 1 for 5 from the free throw line tonight. I mean, these are Shaq numbers. These are Andre Drummond numbers. We cannot have a wing who shoots 1 for 5 from the free throw line. And RJ Barrett has had his considerable issues with free throw shooting. And it's at this point, you've got to assume that it's just mental. Because if you can hit threes, if you can take game winners to end the game and they're step back threes, certainly I assume you have the shooting mechanics to be able to make a free throw. But yeah, it is just mental at this point. RJ also had some really good plays defensively. We'll take a look at those as well. But man, I got to tell you, like, this game felt great from a lot of perspectives. Golden nuggets of the game. Number one, you get a very good game from Colin Murray-Boles, and he really shows like he belongs, and he does it against a lot of length. Zachary Sachet, Jalen Johnson, Kristaps Porzingis, they are a very long team when KP actually plays, and I don't think that the length deterred CMB very much at all. So that was awesome. Okay, really awesome to see, and that's like my golden nugget of the game. Like that's the biggest takeaway of this game. Takeaway number two is that for the second game in 3 games, Emmanuel quickly gets benched in the fourth quarter. Darko was furious after that baseline turnover where Emmanuel quickly gets caught in the air, picks up his dribble, throws the ball away, and almost allows the Hawks to kind of get back into this game. Like they were kind of close, inching. And you know what? He just pulled the plug on the Emmanuel quickly experiment, and I loved it. I love it, man. You can preach accountability all you want, but if players are allowed to do this bullshit every single night and never get penalized, it's not like Emmanuel quickly is some risk taking, dynamic point guard where you live with the results. It's different when Trey Young has 4 or 5 turnovers. It's different because Trey Young takes chances. Emmanuel quickly makes a lot of dumb decisions with the basketball. He made a lot of dumb decisions tonight as well. And it didn't really matter. It didn't really matter overall. He ends the game +8 regardless. Scotty ends up +7, largely because he was on the receiving end of a 10-0 run to end the first quarter. But ultimately, I think that Emmanuel quickly played a pretty shit game tonight. He made some shots, and that was a good thing. He got rewarded by going to the line a few times on a couple of bailout calls, but I don't really think he had a great game. The other thing that I will say tonight is that Grady Dick was awesome. I don't care. 11 points, 4 for 4, 2 for 2 from 3, didn't miss a single shot. But it was his defense, his compete level, his ability to get on the glass, his athleticism, fluidity, that incredible steal, and then, and one finish. He was just awesome tonight, like really cool. And I've heard through the grapevine, and a couple of people have reported it, that the Raptors have been working on Grady's shot. Well, tonight it looked a lot better. He hits that corner 3 wide open, but he also hit a contested one as well. So that was very, very cool. If you're keeping count, Jacoby Walter has now had back-to-back kind of cold shooting games. But this is why you have 3 of these guys: Grady, Jacoby, Ochai. Whoever has it going that night, that's the guy who's going to play. Jacoby, in a game that you win by 18, was -9. He was overwhelmingly bad tonight. And I don't think that the fact that he missed all 4 of his threes helps his case at all. And that's ultimately what it's going to be. If you're going to be one of Ochai or Grady or, Jacoby Walter, you're just going to have to make do with the fact that you're not going to have a very long leash. You haven't, clearly, none of these guys have separated themselves from the other. I may be partial to Jacoby, but I cannot say he has clearly outplayed Ochai or clearly outplayed Grady. They've all had their moments this season. And you know what? With Darko, as the season goes on, you're just going to have to roll with the hot hand. And speaking of the hot hand, that brings me to, as I said, like my takeaway of the second takeaway of the game: Emmanuel quickly gets benched. Loved it. I did not like the process from Emmanuel quickly tonight. I haven't liked the process all season. He over dribbles shit. He over dribbles the shit out of the basketball, doesn't process advantages, forces way too much, kills transition opportunities. And so, I don't want to make Emmanuel quickly out to be, the whipping boy of the Toronto Raptors or the big boogeyman of like, oh my God, Penn's going after yet another point guard. But it's hard to ignore his deficiencies on this end and how much better the team looks when Jamal Shead is running the court. And honestly, like, some of the best parts of the night for the Raptors came with Jamal Shead on the court. He only played 17 minutes, but he played the ones that counted. There were the high leverage minutes. And in those 17 minutes, he was able to be +10. and that matters to me. Sandro Mamukelashvili didn't really score well in the first half, makes his shots in the second half. That was awesome. I really liked Brandon Ingram's game from a process perspective tonight. Defense, offense, both sides getting off the ball. There was that late game turnover where he doesn't read the double team. We'll take a look at that play. But overall, I think he's doing a better job of not Ingram Ingram ball. Like there's not as much tunnel vision. He's more uh aware of when to get off of looks. He had a lot of really good passes, connective passes sometimes, but passes that led to passes, hockey assists, and he's doing a great job of finding CMB. So that was really cool tonight. Good bounce back game from RJ Barrett. Again, I like the compete level defensively in the fourth quarter, and I really like the fact that he just kept playing with confidence. He was abysmal in the first three quarters, having a lot of time, a lot of trouble making his shots, a lot of trouble making free throws, got blown by a couple times defensively, got lost a few times defensively. But you know what? When it counts, you show up. And, how many times have I given Scotty Barnes credit for, having a couple of, really tough quarters and then showing up in the fourth quarter? Gotta keep the same energy for RJ Barrett doing the same thing. He was very instrumental in that fourth quarter, and I think he was very good for this team. And he made both his threes in the fourth quarter. That was pretty cool. Scotty Barnes, man. We gotta talk about Scotty Barnes. Yo, Scotty was fucking awesome tonight. Like, I don't care what the box score says. Oh, 18 points, 10 assists. The the eye test would tell you he was classes better than Jalen Johnson tonight. Defensively, offensively, the handle tonight was awesome. Like, looked really smooth tonight. That handle, attacking middle, attacking in transition, finishing strong. Did he have a couple of rough moments? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He had a couple of really rough moments, and we'll talk about a few of those. But man, oh, man, like he looked like he was really, really in control. There was that beautiful spin on Kristaps Porzingis on the reach end when KP just kind of just gambled on the reach, spins away, passes to Sandro. I just felt so much more secure when Scotty was running possessions. And honestly, there was a lot of points Scotty tonight. Lot of points Scotty tonight, man. A lot of Scotty initiated possessions, and I think it was for the better. The other final takeaway of this game, really, that just sticks out is the Raptors defense was pretty much awesome. Okay. Like to hold a team like Atlanta with Kristaps Porzingis to 100 points when they've had 2 full days to rest is very impressive. They are also the more desperate team. They're not a plus 500 team anymore. They are 17-21. The preseason prognosticators, myself included, who thought they were going to be a 50-win team, we sound really dumb right now because this team looks like they are a mess defensively. But when Kristaps Porzingis plays, this is a completely different team. And tonight, you can look at the numbers with KP on the court versus KP off the court. It was different. They held even serve with KP on the court. This was a +-0. He is the only player who had a not negative plus-minus tonight. Luke Kennard is another one. And again, that spacing really hurt the Raptors. They did not find Luke Kennard. They did not find Zachary Sachet a couple times, and it hurt them. And the Hawks decide to buck the trend and not go for the zone. I don't think it would have helped them too much tonight because the Raptors had a lot more pep in their step tonight. Well, give me a W or give this video a like. Perhaps give this video a like. Let me engagement farm a little bit. If you felt like the Raptors looked a lot faster tonight, I had to check my television to see if I wasn't on like 110 speed. And then I just realized, wait, my television doesn't do that. This is not YouTube. Like it just felt like everything was just moving a little bit faster. The cuts were a little bit faster. The drives were a little bit faster. It felt like the players were faster. W. See, like you know what I mean? Like, did you feel it? Like, there was just a lot more pep to the step of every single player. Scotty looked more explosive. BI looked more explosive. RJ looked more explosive. Everybody, Grady looked a hell of a lot more explosive. CMB looked more explosive. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys just, had the best practice of their lives. This is the type of win that gives you hope that this team could be more than the sum of their parts or more than what they've shown so far. And what they've shown so far is they're 7 games above 500, and we are about halfway into the season, right? We are almost at the 40 game mark right now. Almost there. We're a month away from the trade deadline, right? It's not just Atlanta. Someone's saying it's Atlanta. I don't think it's just Atlanta. Like, Atlanta's bad, okay, fine, but they're not this bad. They're not so bad that you're like, okay, well, you played the Washington Wizards, or you played I mean, I'm realizing the Raptors lost to the Washington Wizards, or you played the Indiana Pacers. It's not just the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks have plenty of good defenders. Kristaps Porzingis would immediately be the best rim protector on your team, and Dyson Daniels would be the second best defender on your team, period. So it's not like their defense is so bad. Trae Young, their biggest defensive liability, is not playing. Nikhil is a good defender. Jalen is an average to maybe below average defender. Onyeka is a defender. So what is wrong with this team? Ultimately, they are very reliant on a player who is not nearly as good as people think he is in Jalen Johnson. I was listening to people just as early as last week trying to tell me that Jalen Johnson is better than Scotty Barnes. Man, these box score fucking merchants, these people who read box scores and then decide what to think about a player, are so fucking annoying. It is truly maddening. Like, everybody got to have an opinion about every single person. And it's just like, people see like, oh, 20, 10, and 10. Wow. Or 20, 13, and 15. Wow. Who cares, man? These are possessions. Okay. This is a dude who eats up a ton of possessions and a lot of transition possessions. Transition possessions against bad teams are very plentiful. He is a long, athletic, fluid player. But against actual length, against actual size, against a competitive defense like the Raptors, who are a top 10 defense, he is not going to put up 35, 15, and 12. But these 35, 15, and 12, 37, 15, and 12, what? It's because Scotty Barnes doesn't want to take 28 shots or 32 shots in a game. He's somehow worse than a guy. Nah, man. It's never going to be like that. And these things don't matter. Like, I've been trying to tell people for 2 years, 2.5, 3 years, that Scotty Barnes is way better than Paolo Banchero. It took like what? It took this year for people to finally kind of get on board with that. Like, this is the first year in like 2 years that Scotty has a higher 2K rating than Paolo Banchero. And I'm just like sitting there like, okay, at what point is Jalen Williams, J-Dub, gonna have a worse rating than Scotty Barnes? Not to make everything about 2K ratings, but unfortunately, our impressionable brain dead generation takes a lot of guidance from 2K on who is actually good. And you can't be good if you're 85 or 84 in 2K. You got to be like at least 90 in 2K to get respect from the casuals. But nevertheless, Scotty is awesome, and I think he played one of his better games. Taking a look at the team stats tonight, the Raptors shoot a scorching 52% from the field, but score 32% from the free throw, from three, 63% from the line. They lose the offensive rebound battle. They overall tie in the rebounding battle overall. They get their 34 assists, which is always a good mark for this team. They win the stocks department, which is hard to do against the Hawks when they have Kristaps Porzingis. They win the points, the fast break points battle. They killed them in the paint, which again is hard to do. Jalen Johnson is a very big time paint finisher. He is a big time, downhill athlete who gets into the paint. Kristaps Porzingis, obviously, is more of a stretch big, but he can also get a lot of rim finishes. And, so it's interesting. Without Jakob Poeltl, to hold this team to 100 points is a very big accomplishment. And I will remind you that the Raptors have had a ton of success against teams in the Eastern Conference that were picked ahead of them. The Cavaliers, the Sixers, the Heat, and the Hawks, and the Orlando Magic. And these are all teams. Like, look, like right now, the Detroit Pistons just obliterated the Knicks by 30 points. And I genuinely think like we might be one trade adjustment at the deadline away from competing with Detroit. I'm not scared of Detroit. I'm not scared of New York. I'm definitely not scared of the Atlanta Hawks team. The Raptors have a real chance to go deep into the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. And, it might just take benching Emmanuel quickly to do it. But man, it was a very interesting one. The Raptors led wire to wire pretty much 99% of this game. The Raptors led, which is crazy. let's take a look at some plays here. And we will take your calls. If you want to call in, I want to talk about it. Someone said we need a Philly loss tonight. Man, if Philadelphia loses tonight, does Nick Nurse lose his job? Because Denver is up 104-100. And I will remind you that their starting lineup was Jalen Pickett, Peyton Watson, Bruce Brown, Spencer Jones, and De'Ron Holmes. Tyrese Maxey is playing, Joel Embiid is playing, Paul George is playing, VJ Edgecombe is playing. This would be a historic meltdown. Like, we are talking like David versus Goliath, but like Goliath had like Goliath on steroids. You know what I mean? Like, the Sixers are just not a great team, and they're a terrible fourth quarter offense and all that stuff, and they're very dysfunctional and all that stuff. But man, oh man, like, this is a team that is truly sad right now. Nurse won us a title. I don't think so. I don't think Nurse won you a title, but okay. Sure. Keep thinking that. Kawhi Leonard exists, my friend. Anyways, this play right here. See, I loved Scotty attacking downhill. I loved his handle today. He felt very secure going and attacking on Onyeka Okongwu. It was only when he, had someone saying the Thunder lost official DJ frequency. The Thunder did not just lose, my friend. They lost by 30. That is some messed up shit. This is a team that was blowing teams out so much that Shea had not played a fourth quarter in almost a month. And I mean, they're just going through a very, very rough stretch right now, integrating Jalen Williams back into the lineup. Kind of proves something to you, man. It's not just about talent. But here, Scotty Cook off the dribble, takes Onyeka Okongwu. Just brilliant downhill attack. Felt really, really good tonight. Unfortunately, on the very next play, incidental contact on Nickeil Alexander-Walker on the drive. Referees called a foul on Scotty Barnes. He gets upset. He starts asking for a timeout. Sorry, he asked for a challenge from Darko Rajakovic. Doesn't get it. Proceeds to pout. And then results in a 10-0 run for the Raptors the other way down. It wasn't all on Scotty, but it kind of goes to show how much emotional maturity from Scotty Barnes would take this team to another level. His team feeds off of his energy so much. When he's complaining, this team falls apart. He needs to know that as the leader, you can't do that. You need to have next play mentality. And he himself was a huge part of that collapse. Like, he had turnovers in that stretch. He had missed reads. He had a missed shot. Like, he just sucked for like the next 2 minutes. And it was just like, Jesus, like, what are we doing here, Scotty Barnes? At that point, Darko needed a timeout. He didn't take it, and 10-0 run, the Hawks came back into this game. I said, this is my favorite Grady Dick sequence of the season. Truly was. First of all, good defense by Emmanuel Quickley to get back into this play. But here you have a clear as day mismatch that is going to force all sorts of problems for your roster, which is that your weakest defender, in this case, Grady Dick, is about to get posted up by a player who is almost a foot taller than him. Okay. And that's not even a stretch. KP looks legitimately like he's making Grady look like a child here, right? 7'3", 7'4", whatever the hell Kristaps Porzingis is, versus 6'7" Grady Dick. This is not going to be a matchup that ends in your favor, and Grady knows it. And so Grady picks the ball away from Kristaps Porzingis. And here at this moment, I was like, here goes another missed layup. Because as you know, there are very many times that Grady will try this shot and he will miss the layup. But tonight was Grady's night. And he finishes in this acrobatic way, like he's Michael Jordan. He really has like no in between. It's all Michael Jordan or Ricky Davis. Like, there's no in between with Grady. And tonight he was definitely more MJ than Ricky Davis. Sounds pretty crazy to pull those two numbers, but yes. Okay. Now, here Grady ends up with 9 points, but here is a clear. Now, I thought on first, second, and third watch that this is a foul, but I could be wrong. I think Vit just ripped this away from him, and Grady was just complaining for the foul. Anyways, the Raptors transition defense, they miss Nickeil Alexander-Walker in the corner. So it's 2 points you don't get. It's 3 points they do get. And the Raptors did have a couple of plays like this. Um, okay, hold on one second. Come on, man. I apologize. Grady had 11. So he should have had, in my opinion, he should have had 13 if they had counted that. Jamal Shed just makes the right play all the time, man. All the time. He made pitch ahead passes and early seal passes to Scotty, BI, and here he's going to make this transition pass. Again, how many times have you seen me do a film breakdown? You can give me a W in the chat. How many times have you seen me do a film breakdown where a player will be in this exact position, Emmanuel quickly be dribbling up the court, and he won't make this pass? This is a pass that I have begged for Fred VanVleet to make, for Dennis Schroeder to make, or Emmanuel quickly to make, and leave it to 45th overall pick, Jamal Shed from last year's draft, to make this read consistently. You cannot be selfish in protecting your turnover numbers. This is a 2-point guarantee if you make this pass. Now, unfortunately, the pass is a little bit late. I would say, is it a little bit late? Hold on, let's just see here. No, it's just a little bit high, unfortunately. It's just a little bit too high. Like, you don't need to put it this high. Like, you could just dart this if you can, but nevertheless, at this point, this connective passing thing that everyone's talking about, all the rage, the Draymond pass, is so important. And it's super important that Grady is hitting 50% of his corner threes wide open. And here he's going to hit a corner three wide open. Very nice to see this 1-2-3 connection from three guys that you have picked in 1-2-3 drafts. Very good. Very good to see. Okay. Great. Every single play is trying to load. Okay. Now here, again, this is not going to make anyone think this is not going to make anyone's highlight reel tonight. But I just want to point out, this is what Jalen Johnson is as a defender. Watch how quickly and how easily Scotty Barnes sheds him here. Watch this. First of all, to anyone who thinks that Scotty doesn't have a good handle, watch this play. And to anyone who thinks Jalen Johnson's a good defender, please watch this play. Because both those things, boom, how low did he get? Yo, he cleared him. He got like a 2-foot separation on him. And here, Onyeka Okongwu at the rim, he can't make the shot over him. CMB can't get the offensive rebound. And here come the Atlanta Hawks in transition. Dyson Daniels going up against RJ Barrett. Good job by RJ to resist at the rim, which allows CMB to get back into the play and block this shot. That is just tenacity, man. That is tenacity. That is guts. That is glory. I don't know what you want to say, man. That was good. That was very good. I said, Emmanuel quickly decided to pass this ball to RJ Barrett when he woke up this morning. And he does this a lot. Okay. Now, look, read the defense. What should Emmanuel quickly do in this situation? I would argue you cut off Ingram's driving angle here and you pass to Ingram and allow him to attack downhill. That would be the right idea, in my opinion. If I was playing point guard and this was the court situation, I would 100% have gone right down middle and then had a little handoff to Ingram and let him go downhill. I would trust him to attack a pretty empty paint, right? And if at that point he can't get the shot off, then RJ Barrett is in the corner for a three. But quickly lets Ingram run through and then gets the ball to RJ Barrett, who is, by the way, guarded by Dyson Daniels. This is not advantage generation. This is completely stupid. You're giving him a one-on-one with no advantage against a loaded defense. And now the defense has set itself. You have completely missed this opportunity to attack the paint, get a paint touch. And it's just this. You got to separate these guys because they are just weird together, man. And it's not just an art. I don't think it's on RJ. It's mainly quickly. It's a very one sided relationship. It's very weird because RJ is not a discriminatory passer. He'll pass to just about anyone if you're open. Or I trust RJ to find you. Um, but yeah, it's just weird. Okay. Uh, I said ninth in field goals at the in the paint for Scotty Barnes. Once again, Scotty using that handle and here beating Onyeka Kongwu and then Jalen Johnson at the rim. That's a lot of length, man. Those are two guys with 7-foot wingspans plus, and this is one of my favorite Scotty plays of the season. Now, again, this is a pretty easy thing to pull off if you are a guard. But if you are a guy that has the reputation of a Scotty Barnes, especially among this fan base, that's like, oh, RJ, Scotty Barnes will never be a top two, offensive option on a championship contender. Watch this play. Again, this is the third time in this game that he has used live dribble creation to completely lose his defender. And again, this is not something that Scotty was really able to do 2-3 years ago. So to everybody on Reddit, Twitter, whatever, who's like, Scotty needs a new trainer. That's his trainer. That's his trainer at work. That exact situation has been worked on, massaged throughout the entire offseason for like 4 years. Okay. And you get to this point that he's comfortable enough. Watch the reaction. This is Kristaps Porzingis squared up, right? The second that hand comes, boom, we're gone. Watch it again. The second it comes, boom, we're gone. Now, the beautiful thing about Scotty going downhill is he's also an incredible passer. And this type of pass is the type of pass that only he can make on this team. He took 3 defenders out of this play to get Sandro Mamukelashvili a wide open layup at the rim. This is exactly what we talk about when we're talking about advantage generation and clean assists. Okay. I said great defense here by RJ Barrett and Grady Dick. Not something that I expect to say very often by both of them on the same possession, but man, Darko was really rolling the dice with Sandro, IQ, Grady, and RJ all on the court at the same time. RJ and Grady had to hold their own on this possession. Here, Grady is going to chase Luke Kennard, offer a little bit of resistance. RJ is going to close out in control against Dyson Daniels. That's not Steph Curry. You don't need to be out of control. And here, backs off just a little bit. Grady is going to come. He's going to help force Dyson to pick up his handle. And at that point, look at that. RJ pokes it away. Grady gets on the ground, and we got a jump ball. That was awesome. That is awesome defense by 2 guys that, quite frankly, have been cones at times this year. Very good. Emmanuel quickly. No, this is not the Emmanuel quickly play. Okay. Now, just as I was commenting on RJ's incredible defense, here comes the Atlanta Hawks, and they're just like, you know what? We kind of still think RJ and Grady are terrible defenders, and we are going to get the ball away from the side of the court that Scotty could potentially recover. We have a huge advantage in the paint, by the way, because right now Emmanuel quickly is cross-matched onto Onyeka Okongwu as Scotty is out dealing with Zach Risache. Your only paint protector right now is out of the paint. And Dyson Daniels, a very intelligent basketball player, decides to attack RJ Barrett's hip and gets right to the rim. And unfortunately, RJ picks up a foul. Yikes. Not cool. Not a cool play for the Raptors defense, but RJ made Dyson look like a max player when guarded by him. Meh. I think that might be a stretch. But that's just not that's not a play you necessarily want to give up. I said this is a 12-second roller coaster, like an emotional roller coaster. First of all, start with the defense here. Sandro Mamukelashvili, body up. Jalen Johnson, totally overrated basketball player. and Sandro is off to the races. And he is going to make a mistake here, which is that he's going to pass to Emmanuel quickly. It's always a mistake to pass to Emmanuel quickly. Now, if Grady continues to run, Emmanuel quickly should be able to pass this right over the defense. Luke Kennard offers nothing. And I promise you, Grady should have continued to run. But I also promise you that he could run right into the rim, and I guarantee you Emmanuel quickly is not fucking passing the ball. Because he's not thinking about Grady. He's not thinking about Mamu. What Emmanuel quickly is thinking about is himself and RJ Barrett. Because this is a completely batshit crazy shot for a guy who is not a great three-point shooter. That's not Steph Curry. I'll be cool if Steph Curry takes that shot. I'd be cool if Luke Kennard takes that shot. I'm perfectly cool if Karl-Anthony Towns or Kristaps Porzingis take that shot. I'm cool with Jameson Battle taking that shot. But if you generate that shot for Scotty Barnes, Colin Murray-Boles, RJ Barrett, I want your ass on the bench for the rest of your life. That's not a cool shot. That's not a good shot. That's not a good leveraging of the transition opportunity. And once again, we end up talking about Emmanuel quickly court processing. Here, a Scotty Barnes initiated possession. I wonder what this is going to turn into. Dyson Daniels turns his head to communicate something to Onyeka Okongwu for like half a second. In that half second, at which point, by the way, Kristaps Porzingis is late getting back, Scotty Barnes maps the court. Now, what do I mean by court mapping? Court mapping is that the second Sandro Mamukelashvili is a faster basketball player than Kristaps Porzingis. We agree with that? Yes, we agree with that because that is a fact. It is not an opinion. It is a fact. He is faster at this stage of his career. He is able to beat. So right here, he is passing the ball to Sandro because Sandro has an advantage. The second Sandro gets a step on KP, Scotty trusts that Sandro can get all the way to the rim without the rim protection. Now here, if there is at all, going to be a stoppage here, it's going to be from Luke Kennard. And that's nothing. That's nothing, bro. That is nothing. So just simple stuff, man. Simple stuff. I said Jalen Johnson tricked y'all, man. He really did. Like the number of nauseating conversations I've had to have about this guy. I like Jalen Johnson. Please understand. Like, I like Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson's a good basketball player. But this idea that he is somehow like on this extreme level, listening to Jack Armstrong, like glaze him like crazy. Like, what are we doing here? Stupidly crazy. Here, you're going up against RJ Barrett. You think like people think you're a fucking all-star or like a top 15 player in the league. You're being guarded by RJ Barrett. Take a hint. Okay. They don't respect you at all. And here, Duke on Duke crime, RJ Barrett just pokes it away. And once again, RJ and Grady participating defensively. And once again, Grady Dick finishes the layup. Love it. Love it. I do not take Grady finishing transition plays for granted because I've seen him fuck that up so many times. I'm just like very relieved. Okay. I said Emmanuel quickly is 80% of my therapy bill right now. Okay. First of all, you are attacking a pretty good defender in Dyson Daniels. But learn something from the Nash dribble. You should not ever pick up your dribble in this situation. You definitely don't want to pick up your dribble and get out of control. Who was this pass to? Who could this pass have been to? And look at the indignation and just the contempt for Jacoby Walter. Like, how dare you not read my fucking mind? It's like, who told you to get in the air? Who told you to get in the air? Who told you to take this crazy ass, chance here with the basketball? Like, who told you to do this? Who told you this was good basketball? This is crazy basketball. And you got benched almost immediately after this because Darko Rajakovic was not taking any chances here. Now, here are 3 possessions of fourth quarter offense that I want you to look at here. 1, every single thing that I brought up in tonight's members live, I did a members live at 4:30 where I talked about like everything going wrong with the Raptors fourth quarter offense, quickly processing, Ingram dealing with double teams, Scotty not getting the ball enough. These things all presented themselves in the fourth quarter. Look at this. Scotty passes to BI. BI sees the double. And here, there's a simple pass behind, well, it's not simple, behind the back to Colin Murray-Boles. There's also, of course, the option to kind of poke your head through and then relocate the pass to Emmanuel Quickley. Don't see either. Not tough enough with the basketball, and you just get ripped. Second play here, Scotty finds Emmanuel Quickley, who misses yet another spot up jump shot. And third, of course, is Scotty Barnes. Here, going up against Zachary Sachet, says, no shot blocker in the paint. I am finishing strong. And very often, I feel that Toronto would benefit tremendously from Scotty Barnes just going for it a little bit more, expressing himself more aggressively, offensively. You know, too often, he will settle for a jumper in the situation, or he'll make the pass to Brandon Ingram in the corner. This is not the way. This is the way. And this, by the way, came on the end of the Raptors almost squandering this game because it's 4 minutes and 42 seconds to go, and the Raptors are up by 7. So the Hawks are within reach here. And Scotty just puts his head down and says, nuh-uh, I'm not doing this shit. And this is a winning play. This is a winning play. And you get to the line and you make the free throw. Perfect. Perfect. I said, RJ having a big fourth quarter. Great pass by Scotty. And you'll notice, guess who's not on the court? That's Emmanuel Quickley, not on the court. Now here, Brandon Ingram sees that double, tall enough to get over the double. Double comes kind of relaxed. It's a bad double. You don't want to send soft doubles because they just fuck your defense up. And here, what's the right pass, y'all? What is the right pass? Can anyone tell me what the right pass is here? Does anyone want to take a guess at what the right play is here? I don't want to say pass because I feel like I'm leading the witness here. What is the right play here? What about now? What about now? What about now? What about now? What's the right play? Boom. Exactly. Perfect. These are the types of threes I want RJ Barrett taking. The step back, pull up, bullshit three against Denver, I never want him taking that shot. But this shot is absolutely the right play. And Scotty makes the right play 9 out of 10 times. Very, very good. So, good stuff. I wonder if Darko is going to be asked about Emmanuel Quickley once again tonight. I said, pull out the salami cheese, mama. This ball game is over. Scotty Barnes on Jalen Johnson. And once again, here comes the boom. Here comes the boom. Here comes the, what's the right play? What's the right play, y'all? How's the defense angled? See, again, you can't prescript this shit. You can't say, I got to pass the CMB or I got to pass the BI. Man, you know how often like IQ will fuck this and exact play up by not passing to the obvious target. The obvious play is to RJ Barrett. Is the obvious pass that is exactly where the defensive weakness is, and boom, there goes RJ Barrett, easiest bucket of the night. Dude, great game by Scotty. Great point guard game by Scotty Barnes. And great coaching job by Darko Rajakovic. Apart from my complaint that he did not call the timeout in the first quarter when the Hawks went on that 10-0 run. And again, he allowed them to leak a little bit too much oil, I feel, in the fourth quarter. Eventually, he does the right thing, which is he got Emmanuel Quickley to the bench. And look, like, I think Emmanuel Quickley is a very talented basketball player. He's an extremely talented basketball player. He's skilled, he's useful, and he is important. In fact, I would go as far as to say he is essential to what the Raptors need to do. And unfortunately, very often he gets in his own way, his worst tendencies. And I think that for Darko Rajakovic, there has to be an element of freedom that you want to give to him. There's confidence. You don't want a player to play scared. You don't want him to play, timid. You don't want them to play passive, but you also cannot have them playing so thoughtlessly, so contrived. So like you just can't. Karen Hall saying, I wonder if sometime over the next year or two, Scotty will actually be the full-time point guard. I doubt it. I doubt it. And I don't think he needs to be a full-time point guard for this to work in his favor. I think what needs to happen is the offense needs to find him more in positions to create. And I think he needs to be more aggressive in those situations. It is a two-way street. Now, nobody is going to take the ball away from you on your own team. You're the last guy introduced. You come out with the flag every single game. This is your team. You're the highest paid player on this team. So grab it and go. Okay. And if it results in an 8 turnover game, we'll live with it as long as they're aggressive turnovers. I think Scotty needs to learn the lesson that this ain't Montverde anymore. You don't have Cade Cunningham. You don't have Day'Ron Sharp. You don't have a 25-0 team. You don't have a team where you had the luxury to go 8 points one night, 14 points one night. Very often, when Scotty has really bad games, the Raptors lose those games. In fact, if I sort just for box plus minus, the Raptors have never lost in regulation when he's had his 7 best games this year. I'm inclined to say they're 7-0 in regulation, and then they lost 1 game in overtime when he had north of 12 boxes minus. His best games are really good for the Raptors as well, and they come against all sorts of opponents, from good opponents to bad opponents. Scotty needs to be consistent. He needs to make an impact. I really love the rebounding uptick that he's had recently. Like, there were a few games earlier in the season where he had like 3, 4 rebounds, and you're like, dude, you're way too athletic and way too good a basketball player to be getting 3 or 4 rebounds. Early in the season, Scotty really sucked on the glass. Like, it was a concerning thing. He was super finesse. He was shying away from contact. I didn't love his handle to start the year. There were a couple of really high dribble turnovers. But today was just a perfect floor game, a very comfortable floor game for Scotty Barnes, where he looked like he was really sure about what he was going to do. When he put the ball on the court, he had a plan and he didn't get rattled. Very often, Scotty suffers from 2 things. Number one, well, 3 things. Number one is he becomes a victim of his own success, right? Or failure, because he becomes trapped in the previous play or 2 plays, and then he decides to completely pivot away. Number 2, he's not aggressive enough. He prescripts his offense in the worst way possible, which is that he almost decides, well, for the next 6 minutes, I'm not going to take a shot. And while that may have worked at Montverde, and that may have worked when you were playing with the number 1 ranked junior in the country in Vernon Carey at NSU school, it doesn't work in the NBA because you don't have Donovan Mitchell on your team. You don't have Nikola Jokic on your team. You don't have prime Joel Embiid. You don't have prime KD. You don't have prime Steph. You can't go through a 6-minute stretch where you don't look at the basket. So I think very often he runs into those problems. And the third problem he really runs into is he forgets that his first idea doesn't have to be his second and third idea as well. Like, there's like almost like an eject button on his offensive process where he'll take 2 steps into the paint, and instead of doing a rip through move when the defense recovers, he'll just abandon the offensive possession and then just pass it out, reset it, and then just float to the corner. And that's not really assertive. Like, I need him to be aggressive. I need him to demand a post up. I need him to not get it on his spot and then kick it out and then get a deeper seal and then demand it again. This is consistent effort and energy on offense. Like, Scotty has very much found a way to deliver consistent defensive effort and energy on a night-to-night basis. But I think offensively, he needs to find a way to get 3 to 5, 6 points every single quarter. He should be able to do it. It's not that difficult. He's big, he's strong, he's smart, and he has good teammates. You know, for the most part, he has pretty good teammates. I think you could say Jalen Johnson also has good teammates. You know? Nuggets Sixers are an OT. That's crazy. But the game is happening in Philly, so I would imagine the advantage would go to Philly. But that's crazy. That's crazy. Kind of makes you think anyone can beat anyone on a night-to-night basis, right? Or maybe it makes you think that the Sixers are just a really trash basketball team. I really don't know how else, you wanna put it, but Jalen Pickett has 29 points. Jalen friggin' Pickett. Zeke Naji, I'm never gonna hear the end of this, has 21 points. Zeke fucking Naji, wow. Uh, Johnny Yeah. Wait, John yeah, Johnny Yeah. Johnny Yeah? 4267 said, "Much love to entire community. Can we beat the Knicks in a series with this roster?" I think it really depends on when you play the Knicks. Are you playing this version of the Knicks right now that's sputtering and maybe not playing their best basketball? If so, yes. Are you playing the Knicks team that you played in the NBA Cup? That's a slightly different situation. I do think the Knicks are more talented. I do think they're deeper. Deuce McBride, Tyler Kolek off the bench, Gershon Yabusele. I think the Raptors have a few holes that they need to plug. It is worth noting that for the third straight game now, Mo Bamba has not really cracked the rotation. Like, we're not getting consistent buildup of Mo Bamba minutes. And if you can't get it with Jakob Poeltl out, you're probably not going to get it with Jakob Poeltl back in. So, look, the Raptors see these guys every single day in practice. Maybe they don't see the value in Mo. That being said, they wanted to add a 7-footer. They thought that the cost was pretty low to take a look at a player who a lot of teams have given up on. I cautioned early with Mo that it may not work out in Toronto, man, and that's okay. That's okay. He has a lot of flaws as a basketball player. He has a lot of strengths as a basketball player. But if Mo Bamba and Jakob Poeltl, are part of the rotation, maybe then you have the type of size to compete with Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns. But right now, I feel like the Raptors are a much smaller team, and that will hurt them. That will hurt them. But maybe it's a good thing that we have seen such positive success for Brandon Ingram against that team. And, it's worth noting in the NBA Cup game, RJ didn't play, IQ didn't play, and Jakob Poeltl didn't play. And people were trying to hold it against Scotty for not being able to elevate lineups with Chucky Hepburn. So the way the Raptors are playing right now, I feel like they can beat any team in the East. I don't know about a playoff series because, again, the Knicks, the Pistons, these are more battle tested teams in the playoffs. The Raptors will inevitably, when they walk into the playoffs, this group will be going for their first playoff win. Um, okay. We've got Red Salute. Shout outs to Red Salute, community member here, said Casey Wallace is a restricted free agent in 2027. Do you think there's any way we could acquire him? If you were to acquire Kaysen, it's not going to be as an RFA. It's probably going to be in a trade prior to free agency, because I don't see a world in which the OKC Thunder will just let him go. You know what I mean? Like, yes, money could be tight, but he is a very important thing, very important part of what they do, very important next to Shea. I don't think that they would just lose an asset like that for nothing. This is not Usman Jang, where it's just like, okay, well, we don't want to lose him. It's not Isaiah Joe, where it's like, okay, well, I guess we don't want to lose him. No, man. And look, it's worth noting that at some point we will probably have league expansion as well. And there's only so many players you can protect in an expansion draft. You're not going to be able to protect everybody. So these teams that have like 11, 12, 13 really good players, one of those players is going to go to Seattle or Las Vegas or somewhere else. So that's going to be an interesting thing. And seeing how the OKC Thunder are one of the deepest teams I've ever seen in my life, they're probably going to lose some talent in that acquisition. So I think their goal is to re-sign Kaysen. Obviously, restricted free agency. If they play it out, it's not going to get them as far. But I would love to see Kaysen in Toronto. If it took Ochai, Grady, and 2 first-round picks, I would probably do it. That's how much I love and believe. That's how much I love Kaysen. That's how much I believe in Kaysen. But there's a lot of stuff today about Trae Young to the Raptors, Anthony Davis to the Raptors, et cetera, et cetera. I think, yeah. So a lot of people want to talk about Trae Young to the Raptors. So I talked about it in the members live today. Shout outs to our members. If you didn't catch it, it was about the Raptors fourth quarter offense and why it often breaks down, and outlining 8 things that, pretty much consistently go wrong for the Raptors in the fourth quarter. I think that Trae Young would be a very interesting proposition because, one, he has a player option for next year. So he is mighty, mighty expensive. Like, he is uncomfortably expensive. And he has a player option, so he has team control. That's one problem. Problem number 2 is we are living in a league where your weakest defender is your defense, right? And so you may quibble over, you know, Grady's defense, RJ's defense, IQ's defense. You can quibble over these things, BI's defense at times. I don't think this team can really survive Trae Young's defense, dude. Like, you might be able to survive LaMelo Ball's defense, and I could see a world in which LaMelo Ball could be a very welcome addition to this team if I didn't have so many issues about the maturity stuff. It's also worth noting Trae Young basketball does not lead to winning. Like, Trae Young having the ball for 150 possessions or like 100 possessions a game, having the ball in his hands, massaging it, running everything to him, Helio style, like he's Luka, that's not really going to lead to victories. And I understand that the Hawks did make it to a conference finals, which for some people became automatic vindication that Trae Young is someone who needs to be trusted with a ton of offensive possessions. I implore you to go back and watch those playoffs. He did not play great. He had moments, he had good moments, moments that people remember. But as someone who watched a lot of Trae Young in that playoff run, I don't think he played necessarily the greatest. There was a lot of turnovers. Um, in his, I think the very next year after that, in a loss against, was it Miami? He had 6 assists to 6 turnovers. Phew. Now, he's a good player. He's a very talented player, certainly a lot more talented than guards you have on your team, but he's also significantly worse on defense than any guard you have on your team. And without a big time rim protector, I just wouldn't want to bring Trae Young in, man. To be honest. So yes, getting off IQ's money is very seductive. I understand that. It can be seductive, but overall, I just don't see the value in a 6 foot, very expensive defensive liability who's probably going to be 30 very soon. Like, he's 28 years old right now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 27 or 28 years old. I just don't trust smaller guards to age well. And again, the defense it's a non-starter for me. I just don't like players who don't play defense. It's not my thing. Melo not on Marquee, better get Trae. Honestly, man, I'd rather go for Anthony Davis. If we're keeping it a buck, I'd rather go for Anthony Davis than Trae Young. At the very least, there is a payoff with Davis that could result in a championship. And honestly, forget either one of them. I'd rather go for Kyrie Irving. I know Kyrie is older, but Kyrie is a much better basketball player than Trae Young, in my opinion, even coming off the injury. And I don't think that the contract or like trade value will be so different, you know? So I think Kyrie is very, very underrated by the masses. I feel like if you're like a hoop head, if you're someone who really trusts your eyes, Kyrie is like, when people say like the closest thing to Kobe Bryant is, and then fill in the blank, the answer is Kyrie Irving. That's the closest thing to Kobe Bryant in the league, in my opinion. Mavs said Kyrie not available. Mavs also said Luka Doncic staying forever, so I don't trust that organization for shit. Anyways, yeah, I just think Kyrie would be the type of advantage generating point guard that this team would need. I think Scotty and BI and RJ would never be better with anybody else. So if you could squeeze an Emmanuel Quickley and Jakob Pertl and Grady Dick plus 2 first-round picks for Daniel Gafford and Kyrie Irving, man, you do that trade and you just walk away. You just walk away and you pray for a little bit of health, fine. But man, that would change your future. That would change your present. And that would immediately, in my opinion, if Kyrie meshes and he's healthy, that would probably put you as like the second best team in the Eastern Conference. What do you think of Max Christie? I like Max Christie a lot. I very much doubt that they would get rid of him. Kind of at that point right now. Chris Paul is greater than Kyrie all time. Yes, that is not a comparison. Chris Paul is better for sure. But I don't think you even want to know how high I have Chris Paul in my all-time point guard rankings. He is so high. He's top 5. Scotty hoops with Kyrie's. That's interesting. Sixers just lost to Denver G League team. Question mark. Oh my God. That's crazy, man. That is truly insane. Unbelievable, man. Peyton Watson had 24 points. Jalen Pickett had 29. Bruce Brown had 19. Zeke Naji had 21. Can I convince you that Joel Embiid is trash now? Joel Embiid had 32 points. 32. 32 points. What does it mean? These are empty calories. No Jonas Valanciunas, no Jamal Murray, no Aaron Gordon, no Christian Brown, no Jokic. No Cam Johnson. That's insane. That is insane. That is truly next level insanity. I can't believe that. Houston beats Phoenix. Not surprising. Good job by Phoenix for keep this one close. But yeah. No JV to stop Embiid. Well, you don't need to stop Embiid. Embiid will stop himself by taking like a million jumpers every single night. But yeah, man. I mean, this is a very talented team that has lost the plot. Maybe they slept on their opponent. I don't know. I'm sure we're going to talk about this on the panel tomorrow. I mean, the Knicks getting smoked is probably even more surprising, to be honest. I mean, this game was supposed to be very close. OG Anunoby was 5 points. Granted, the panel tried to tell us just last week or 2 weeks ago that OG Anunoby was a better basketball player than Scotty Barnes. Let that sink into your head. Can you imagine Scotty Barnes having 5 points? Karl Anthony Towns had 6 points tonight. Mitchell Robinson had 2 points. Wow, Detroit's defense is really something, man. Kate Cunningham with 29 points, 13 assists plus 23 in 29 minutes. Easy work. And off the bench, Javonte Green, Jaden Ivey. Nice to see Jaden Ivey, man. And Dennis Jenkins, who has been a freaking revelation. What the Raptors would, I would love Dennis Jenkins on this team, man. Yeah, I would love Dennis Jenkins on this team. Who's better, Dennis Jenkins or Emmanuel Quickley this year? I'll remind you, Dennis Jenkins is a two-way guy. For real, though, Pistons was locking stuff up real physical. I agree with you. There's nothing on earth other than shooting threes that OG Anunoby does better than Scotty Barnes. It's truly crazy. He's not a better shot creator. He's not a better playmaker. He's not a better rebounder. I don't even think at this point he's a better defender. He's just, and I love OG. I love OG. Love OG. Just cannot understand the lunacy of people who think that he's something that he's not. Anyways, no callers today. Very cool. I'm sure that a lot of people are still catching up on the holiday season. I got to get into pen dance prep, and I've been trying to clean my house out for like the last, week and a half, so I can get myself in a right mental state to balance the panel, Raptors basketball being back, plus pen dance prep. A lot of prep to go. Pen dance tickets will be on sale this week, so it'll be mid this week. So it's fun times. Pen dance is happening February 27th to March 1st, I believe. So it's going to be that weekend, the final weekend of February. So it'll be good. All-Star Weekend is always great because it gives me that final push to be able to do pen dance stuff. It pissed me off hearing PC say OG was a better scorer than Scotty. Hey, man, I've heard on that podcast is that Chris Webber is better than Nikola Jokic. Hey, man, shit happens. I also said on that same podcast, not that I'm absolved of stupid takes, that peak Kawhi is better than peak Shaq, which is just about the craziest thing that I think I've ever said in my life. But, and I've said a lot of crazy things. I've also said Arvydas Sabonis is a potentially top 15 player of all time. I mean, again, we all get a little crazy with our takes sometimes, I guess. How you like CMB now? I've always liked CMB. I've always liked CMB. Just because I liked Carter more doesn't mean I didn't like CMB. I like CMB. Among the players who were actually available when we picked, he was number 2. So, like, what do you know? Or was he number 3? Did I have come on one spot ahead of him? So he would be number 3. Philly crashing out. I cannot wait to hear what Run It Back Philly has to say tonight. Liam saying you were talking about CMB in the 2024 draft. I was saying that the 2024 draft, I would take Steph Castle and CMB 1 and 2 in that draft. So, did Darko speak on the IQ late benching? No, but I wouldn't expect any prophetic, demonstrative Emmanuel Quickley is trash, so we don't like him very much type of comments from Darko. Darko is not someone who coaches publicly, which is why sometimes his post game pressers are very stupid, frankly. Uh, I don't want to say stupid. They're just kind of pointless. They're very pointless. Like he doesn't give you like the same nuggets of information. It's not because I don't like hearing him speak. I do like hearing him speak. It's just I know everything he's going to say before he says it. So imagine if Raps are undefeated in January. What would it take? What would it take for the Raptors to be undefeated in January? Let's check it out. So for the Raptors to go undefeated in January, they'd have to beat a red hot Charlotte team, a red hot Boston team, a desperate Philly team twice, Indiana, a red hot LA Clippers team, a hope potentially at that time resurgent Los Angeles Lakers team. Dude, it's more likely that the Raptors go winless the rest of January than they go undefeated in January. Neither outcome is necessarily likely, but I would be very happy if we play 500 basketball the rest of the way through. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Go 7 and 6 over the stretch, and we're fine. Is Jaylen Brown underrated? I think he's mega overrated. The panel had a discussion about him potentially being a top 5 player today. I skipped that episode. I was just like, nope, I do not agree. He's pretty good. He is good. He is a top 20 player. I've kind of been on that, place with him. He's a top 20, top 25 player in the league, but he is not. He is not in Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander conversations. I find him too predictable, and I think in a playoff series where if he's the number 1 option, it will get schemed out. But nevertheless, he has a Finals MVP to his name, so what the fuck do I know? He's good. He's just mercurial, and the theory of him, to me at least, doesn't make sense. Because, yeah. Quickly, basketball IQ is low for a point guard. Dude, Emmanuel Quickley's basketball IQ is low for a small forward. I think that's pretty clear. Anyways, I am very tired. I went to sleep. I woke up at 2 a.m. last night, and I have not slept more than 30 minutes, which I took a nap right before this game. So I am dead ass tired, but I am looking forward to going to sleep right now, waking up once again at like 4 a.m., continuing to sift through these boxes of shit that I have piled up and hopefully getting my apartment back in order. We are doing a major throwout of so much stuff right now, and it is intoxicating, and I cannot wait to see my new apartment afterwards, because honestly, like, you have so much stuff everywhere. You don't even see like the chipping paint. You don't see like the holes. You don't see the issues. But man, when you start to get rid of stuff, it starts to feel so good. So I am looking forward to getting up again at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. and continuing this process. Tons of shit to throw out, man. So much stuff to throw out. So yeah, I'm going to get on with it. But Shout outs to you guys. Please like this video. Big win for the Raptors, man. Keep the good times rolling. Charlotte is going to be tough. This is a team that has already played us very, very close and beat us once already. Boston is another team that has beat us. We lost our last game against Boston. We lost our last game against Charlotte. So hopefully, in fact, we've lost our last 2 games against Boston. So we don't want to get swept by Boston. Okay. We're at a point right now. And yes, to those who do not remember, All-Star voting is open. Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, vote them all in, man. You have 5 votes. Vote all Raptors for all I care. All right. CMB. Let's start voting Colin Murray-Boles. The way he's been playing lately, vote him too. Do we have any Jewish players on the Raptors? No, we don't. I don't. Am I wrong to say I don't think we've ever had a Jewish player on the Raptors? Have we ever had a Jewish player? I don't think we have a Jewish player. No. Who are the active Jewish players in the NBA right now? 1 is Danny Wolf. 2 is Denny Avdia. Who's the third? Oh, I do know there's a third. The guy who plays in Brooklyn. The other guy who plays in Brooklyn, whose name I'm forgetting right now. Sorry, sleep deprivation makes me forget names. I was forgetting friends' names the other day. I was just like, what is his last name again? Known him my whole life. Can't remember. What the fuck? Pensaref. There we go. Pensaref. Yeah. At least clock us out. They can't double big. Very interesting. Nate Huffman. Was Huffman Jewish? I didn't know that. I mean, it kind of makes sense based on the look of him. Yeah, I'm just surprised that I didn't really figure that out. That's interesting. You had an honorary Jewish person on this team, which was Anthony Parker, the pride of Maccabi Tel Aviv. Nick Nurse looked Jewish. He definitely isn't. Also, Omri Caspi. Omri Caspi never played for the Toronto Raptors. Yeah. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all later. Yeah. Peace, guys. Have a beautiful night. Big win for the Raptors. Peace. And I'm actually going to go check out Run It Back Philly because there ain't no team in the league that I want to see fail more than the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't know what it is. Embiid, I just don't like them. So is that 100% true? Yeah, I'm pretty sure Philly is like my most hated team in the NBA. Is there a second? Like a team that I just don't want to see succeed? No, it's pretty much just Philly. It's always Philly. Just don't like Philly. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.